All right, today we are diving deep. We're going to try and unlock the master plan of what makes us, well, us. It's a journey through the very blueprint of you. Let's get right into it.
I mean, think about it for a second. It sounds like such a simple question, right? But the answer, it's incredibly complex. It's this amazing story that kicks off way before we're even born and just keeps going our entire lives. So what are the building blocks that make up you and me?
Okay, so to even begin to understand this blueprint, we've got to get two key terms straight: growth and development. Now, you've probably heard people use them like they're the same thing, but they are fundamentally different. And trust me, getting this distinction is absolutely crucial.
So first up, let's talk about growth. This is the stuff you can measure with a ruler or a scale. It's all about the physical side of things. Getting taller, gaining weight, the actual size of our body. And here's the key. It has a pretty clear finish line. For the most part, it stops once we hit maturity.
But development, now that is the bigger story. It's our qualitative journey. We're not talking about size anymore, we're talking about skill, how we function, our behaviors. And this process, it never stops. It's a continuous journey that starts at conception and literally goes on until we die. It's the story of how we become more capable, more skilled, and just more complex beings.
Yeah, this slide here really lays it all out perfectly. Think of it this way. Growth is just one chapter in the book of development. Development is the whole sprawling epic. So growth is about getting bigger, but development, that's about getting better, smarter, more skilled at navigating the world. It's wild, right? You can actually have growth without development, but you can't really have that full holistic development without some kind of growth happening.
Okay, so if development is the master plan, what are all the different sections being built? Because it's definitely not just one thing happening at a time. We're these incredibly complex, multidimensional beings. It's like we have a bunch of different construction projects happening all at once, simultaneously.
A good way to think about it is like a symphony. Your physical body, that's the orchestra. But your mind, your emotions, your social skills, your language, those are all the different instruments, and they're supposed to be playing in harmony. And here's the most important part. They're all interconnected. If just one of those instruments is out of tune, it can throw off the entire performance.
So, we've talked about what develops. Now let's look at when it all happens. Our journey through life kind of follows this predictable timeline, but at the same time, it's also deeply, deeply personal.
Right. So our lives unfold in these distinct stages. First, there's infancy, a total whirlwind of growth where we're just learning to figure out the world using our senses. Then comes childhood, this amazing time of discovery where we master language and start building our very first friendships. After that, adolescence. What a roller coaster, right? That's all about self-discovery, trying to figure out who we are and where we fit in. And then there's adulthood, the grand finale, I guess, where we're supposed to put all those pieces together and build a life.
But here's something super important to remember. Progress isn't just a straight line heading upwards. It's not a steady climb at all. It's actually more like a dance, There are these big bursts of progress, and then there are times where we slow down and just kind of consolidate everything. The pace is always changing. And this image here, this shows the real path of development. It's a spiral. How cool is that? We push forward into new territory, learn something new, but then we kind of circle back to strengthen and really lock in what we've already learned. It's this process of advancing and then solidifying that makes our skills stick, that makes them robust and permanent before we're ready to take that next big leap forward.
So that raises a big question. Who are the architects behind this whole incredible construction project? Well, it turns out there are two main forces at play, and they are constantly interacting to build the person you become. You've got your genetic blueprint, and you've got the world you live in.
So first up is heredity. You've heard of this. This is the nature part of the equation. It's basically the genetic instruction manual that gets passed down from your parents. It influences, pretty much everything, from how you look and how tall you'll be to even parts of your intelligence and personality. And on the other side of the coin, you've got environment. This is the nurture part, and it is literally everything external. We're talking about your family, your culture, your school, the food you eat, even the air you breathe. It's the entire world acting on that genetic blueprint you were handed at birth.
Yeah, the psychologist James Trevor really put it well. He said that heredity is all about those physical and mental characteristics being passed from parents to their kids. That's it. It's the starting material, the raw potential that every single one of us begins with.
So here's the real takeaway, and if you remember one thing, make it this. It is never, ever a simple case of nature versus nurture. It's always nature and nurture working together. Your development is the result of this constant dynamic conversation happening between the genes you inherited and the environment you live in. One gives you the foundation, and the other provides all the materials to build upon.
Okay, so with these huge forces of nature and nurture at play, how do we actually learn to think and reason? Let's take a look at a couple of really influential models that help map out how our thinking and even our sense of right and wrong evolves over time.
So let's start with Jean Piaget. He gave us this absolutely revolutionary roadmap for how our minds develop. He figured we move through 4 main stages. First is the sensory motor stage. As babies, we learn about the world purely through our senses and actions. This is when we figure out that things still exist even when we can't see them. You know, like knowing mom is still there during a game of peekaboo. Then we hit the pre-operational stage. As toddlers, we start using symbols and language, but our thinking is still pretty much all about me. We can only see the world from our own point of view. Next up is the concrete operational stage. Now we're starting to think logically, but we're still kind of tied to the physical world. So we can solve a math problem with blocks in front of us, but not just in our heads. And finally, we reach the formal operational stage. This is where we gain the power to think abstractly, to really ponder those big questions about justice, morality, and the meaning of it all.
And in a similar way, Lawrence Kohlberg mapped out our moral development. He saw it as climbing this kind of moral ladder. At the bottom, the pre-conventional level, morality is all about avoiding punishment and getting rewards. A little kid might not steal a cookie just because they're afraid of getting in trouble. Then we climb to the conventional level. Here, morality is about fitting in and following the rules. A teenager might not cheat on a test because it's against the school rules and they want to be seen as a good student. And finally, some of us make it to the top, the post-conventional level. This is where we develop our own personal ethical code. An adult here might protest a law they believe is unjust, even if it means breaking that law, because their own conscience tells them it's the right thing to do.
And so you start to see how it all weaves together, right? You've got the physical growth, all the different dimensions of who we are, the stages we all pass through, and that constant, beautiful dance between nature and nurture. All of it comes together to fuel how we learn and to shape the unique, one-of-a-kind individual that is you.
You know, understanding this blueprint isn't just about explaining our past. It's about empowering our future. It shows us that development is this amazing, lifelong process, and it's always full of potential. So I guess the real question isn't just what we are, but what we can still become. Knowing the plan, what are you going to choose to build next?